Hey guys, what's up? Mabuhay. This is Kevin, and welcome back to Filipintastic. I am an expat American living in the Philippines. Today, I want to return to a segment that I started called My Two Pesos. And what this is just me kind of giving my impressions as a newbie in the Philippines about culture shock and things that I've noticed since I've been living here that other people can expect to experience when they come here, whether it be just as a tourist or coming here to live with your Filipino wife, girlfriend, or vice versa, husband, boyfriend, or also just coming here as a retiree. The first thing that I've noticed, which is a small thing, I think it's kind of humorous because every human being has their kind of things that they do that are kind of a nervous tick, I suppose. And one thing I've noticed in the Philippines is that a lot of Filipinos and Filipinas really enjoy using their eyebrows as a form of expression. So what I mean by that is we'll be talking to someone, even in my family. I've noticed that my stepdaughter does this a lot. When you're talking to them about something, their eyebrows will move a lot. Much more than I would see when I was in the US or even when I was in China or any of the other countries that I've been in. First I thought it was just somebody trying to be funny, because usually in the US when somebody raises their eyebrows like this a lot, it either means that they're trying to be funny, or they're interested in talking to you, or they're attracted to you, or it could just mean that they're a crazy person. And it was kind of hard to get used to here, to see people using their eyebrows that much. Another thing I wanted to talk about was before I moved here, I was watching a lot of YouTube channels and reading blogs and stuff about living in the Philippines. And one of the things I saw as a commonality was people mentioning how foreigners, specifically men, once they arrived in the Philippines, that you will be like hounded by single Filipinas. Like, I guess apparently the girls come out of the woodwork as soon as you step off the plane, and they'll be asking you, are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? Are you here by yourself? Let me show you around. That just by going to a mall or a shopping center, that you would be approached by single women who wanted to date a foreigner. That's one thing I have not experienced, and I've been here for 2 months now. Could be that I'm just ugly. That's a possibility. Could be maybe just the city I live in, Iloilo City. Single Filipinas probably aren't very comfortable approaching a foreigner. I've been thinking about it, and the channels that I were watching are usually geared towards older men. And so by older men, I mean what I like to refer to as the silverbacks, or the white hairs, the guys that are kind of in retirement age. They're hanging up their work hat and they're just gonna come here and chill and have a good time. And so most of those guys come here, usually are single, and they have a pension or a retirement fund or savings that they're living off of. So they're well taken care of, or at least they have enough to pay for the bills, like the rent, the food, a little bit of travel. So that shows kind of a sense of security, I guess. Just being an older man. And so maybe Filipinas get this impression that if you have gray hair and you look older, that you have a pension. So there's a possibility of why all these older men are getting approached by Filipinas when they arrive here in the Philippines. And the last thing I want to talk about, it's something that as a Westerner definitely gets kind of on your nerves, or it's kind of frustrating. And this is the phrase, out of stock. I've heard this a lot. And like I said, I've only been here for 2 months, and this is something that's popped up numerous times. I went to the local Burger King, but as I was standing in the queue, there was a staff member coming down the line talking to everybody, and I thought maybe they were taking their orders just to kind of accelerate, because there was only one cashier working for some reason. And once he approached me, I noticed some other people were leaving the queue, and he said, "Sorry, sir, we do not have any beverages today." Out of stock. No iced tea, there was no Sprite, no Coke, no orange drink. Another instance, when I first met my wife, Joji, when I first met her mom, after I arrived here, we went to a restaurant, a Vietnamese restaurant. And we were excited because we'd walked past it several times. There was this little grouping of restaurants along the Iloilo Esplanade. And as the waitress was standing there with us, we said, "Oh, we'd like to get this." And she's like, "Oh, sorry, sir. Out of stock." And then we said, "Oh, okay." So we had 4 or 5 other ideas of things that we wanted. It's like, "Well, okay, well then we'll take this then." "Oh, sorry, sir. Out of stock." So it basically got to the point of asking, "Well, what do you have?" But again, that's a Western mentality, right? We're used to having what we want when we want it pretty much everywhere you go. This is the Philippines, so part of the culture shock of the Philippines, you gotta remember that you're on an island, a grouping of islands, and anything on the islands is gonna take longer to get here, or logistically it's gonna be more difficult. And then another thing I wanted to mention was, since I was talking about the Burger King and their card reader not working, so you have to go to an ATM and get cash. That's another good luck scenario. Like, occasionally, when you go to an ATM, it will be out of cash. And it depends on what day you go. But if you go on a day it's like a payday, or if you go on a day maybe like at the end of the month, this is when a lot of Filipinos either get paid, or their overseas workers' family will send money back home and send it to their bank, so they're able to go take it out of the ATM. So they have these large amounts of cash withdrawn. So you might go there in the middle of the afternoon and there's just no money left. So you have to find another ATM. And that's what everybody else does. So you see even a longer line waiting to get cash out of the ATM. So be prepared for that. As far as my 2 pesos for today, those were the brief 3 things I wanted to talk about, which was the eyebrow raising, which is kind of a humorous thing, but I'm sure most of you will notice, or you have noticed since you've been here. Being approached by Filipino women. Like I said, I've not had that experience. The third thing, you gotta be prepared for that phrase, out of stock. Out of stock. You'll encounter that quite a bit once you arrive here. And so You can't let it ruffle your feathers. You just kind of gotta go with the flow, and always have a plan B, plan C, so that you can just enjoy your time while you're here, because you don't want to spend it being a disgruntled tourist or a disgruntled expat. Do your research, know what to expect. I mean, not everything will happen that you think will happen, and some things will happen that you didn't expect. So just like I said, you have to have that kind of island mentality of go with the flow. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button at the bottom there, and we'll chat to you next time. Salamat.